We have pledging to vote yes on these measures. We need people to vote yes in January. And if you go to the website and sign the form and say you're voting yes, that means we don't have to send you mail in January trying to persuade you to vote yes. We can focus our resources on people who are undecided, and we can keep your mailbox uncluttered. And a lot of times we're going up against bad ballot measures. We're asking people to vote no. This time we are asking people to vote yes.
Yes.
And one way to remember that, I think, is to remember these three questions. Do you care about education, healthcare, and public safety? Do you think that corporations can afford to pay more than $10 in taxes? Do you think that a couple that makes $260,000 a year can afford to pay another $180? And if your answer to those three questions is yes, vote yes on these measures in January.
I'd like you to repeat that one more time, because as a matter of fact, that's what so many people haven't thought through their response to, in this case, a very minimal tax increase. So
I'm glad to. Here's the three questions we want
Yes.
people to think about. Do you care about education, healthcare, and public safety? Because that's where the tax money is going to go.
So health care, education, and public safety.
Do you think that corporations can afford to pay a little more than $10 a year in taxes? Because that's what we're talking about.
Because since 1931, that's all they have paid.
That's what most corporations have paid year after year.
$10.
$10.
Regardless of the size or how profitable the corporation is and the amount of money they make here in Oregon.
Not exactly regardless of how profitable, because corporations that officially have taxable profits do have to pay something. But if you can be a pretty big company making lots of money, and if you've got enough write-offs, then you wind up paying $10.
Yes. All right.
And then the third question is, do you think a couple making $260,000 a year can afford to pay another $180?
$180.
$180.
If you
that's
make
all we're talking about.
$250,000 a year.
Actually, if you make $250,000, you won't pay a penny more. You have to pay more than a quarter. You have to be making more than $250,000.
Okay.
You have to be making $260,000 a year as a couple to pay an extra $180.
If you make an extra $10,000, you have to pay $180.
That's right. If you make $10,000 more than $250,000, you pay 1.8% of that $10,000.
Yeah. It seems to me it is so crucial for us as citizens in this state to take advantage of the program that this state now offers to all of us. What, as you've lived here in Oregon, what are some of the things that you value personally from your experience, not only being born here, but living here?
Well, one thing I value is the fact that we have improved our school fund. I mean, in a lot of ways, school funding has taken a hit in the past 15 years, but we have straightened things out to where all of the school funds are shared more equitably around the state, so you don't have schools like Cottage Grove just shutting down in the middle of the year. We have a lot of really dedicated people in different communities who have stepped forward and done everything from local campaigns to your bake sales and your fundraisers to keep the schools going. We in Oregon use our funding for long-term care programs for seniors and people with disabilities more wisely than most states do. Oregon early on decided to put a premium on keeping people in their own homes. So instead of just waiting until people are in really bad shape and sending them to nursing homes, the state pays for people to go out and visit people in their homes and give them the help they need to stay there. And that's the kind of thing that is going to be at risk here. Well,
and I know that, as a matter of fact, we deliver food to elderly in their own homes.
Right.
Yes. I've gone out with my wife, who for 25 years was involved with the senior center here in McMinnville. And you go and deliver, I think it's twice a week, but at least I know it's once a week, delivering food to people who are shut-ins.
Right. There's, another thing I should mention is there's a lot of good folks in the business community who understand our common obligation to each other. There's an organization called Oregon Small Business for Responsible Leadership, which was deeply involved in writing the corporate tax bill and making sure that it was fair to small business. And they've stepped up and they've said that they know that that 90% of businesses are just going to pay another $50 under this bill, and they're quite happy to pay that.
Yeah, you see, that's the thing. To have people who are in business who also recognize that there's more to life together than simply business.
And they also understand that, as business people, they depend on the education system to produce people who will be good workers and, reliable customers. And they depend on the public safety system to, keep their businesses safe.
Yes. Now, we have just 3 more minutes here. What are the best things that you've enjoyed about being a citizen in Oregon?
I've enjoyed being able, well, for one thing, it's a darn pretty place.
Yes.
And
beautiful, isn't it?
I love the fact that we've protected our farmland and forest land, and when you do decide to get out of town, it doesn't take very long before you're out, in the country. I like the fact that Mark Hatfield protected the Columbia River Gorge, and you can go out in the gorge, and it's beautiful, and it's not all built up. And I like the fact that in working on lots of campaigns like this one over the years, I've gotten to know all sorts of wonderful, committed Oregonians who, doesn't matter how many times they've had to do it before, they will go out there and knock on doors and make phone calls, and they'll go to a website like defendoregon.org and sign a pledge in order to support the services they care about and people they care about.
That's one of the things about public access TV. This operation here with Speaking Frankly, which I've been doing now for 14 years. Well, I've actually spoken frankly for longer than that, but on TV, 14 years. This public access TV is so crucial, and we've got it in the United States if more states and more communities would actually utilize it. Now, we have just 2 minutes left. Final words of advice for us now in regard to this program that we want to make sure passes and doesn't get undercut.
Well, what I ask everybody to do is make sure that you vote in January. We're not used to voting in January. So remember, you've got a ballot coming. We need you all to vote and to vote yes.
Vote yes in January.
Exactly. We need people to contact all of their friends and relatives and say, A, you've got to vote, B, you've got to vote yes. And you can do things like you can go to our website, defendoregon.org.
What is that again?
Defendoregon.org.
Defendoregon.org.
And not only can you look up the facts and figures yourself and sign the pledge to vote yes, you can send a link to our website to everybody you know and ask them to look up the facts and figures and ask them to sign the pledge to vote yes as well. We also are going to be having canvases where we go out and knock on doors, and that is the most effective way to reach people. So anybody who really, really wants to help, if there's a time when you see on the website we're going to have a canvass, when you've got time to go out and knock on your neighbors' doors, that would be absolutely terrific. There's letters to the editor. Write a letter to your local paper saying you support these measures and explaining why.
And that's one of the things my wife did for me this morning. She got it on the website, and I have all this information, which you and I have been sharing now with each other and with the constituency of Speaking Frankly. It's been wonderful to have you
Thanks
on Speaking
so much,
Frankly.
Frank.
Thanks for coming, and thanks for sharing.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
Good.